Alright people, so welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our current affairs lecture series. Now today we are going to cover geography and environment related current affairs. So all the important news items from the past 1 week related to the subjects of geography and environment shall be covered in today's lecture. Now needless to say this, but I'm still going to say this, that make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, because if you make current affairs coverage a daily habit of yours, it will serve you really well till your exams. Okay, in your exams you'll be well versed in current affairs, and current affairs forms the most dominant portion of your UPSC syllabus. Okay, so make it a part of your daily routine. It would require only 45 minutes of your day, but this would really serve you well. This is a good habit to have. All right, let's begin today's discussion without much delay. So let's begin. So current affairs, geography, environment, July part 1, and here are the topics that we are going to cover from this in this lecture. So number 1 topic is Western Ghats, ecologically sensitive areas. This is a huge debate and it has become a federal issue between center and states. So we have to talk about it. Western Ghats is an important topic. So we'll talk about this. Then there were a few species that were in news. We'll talk about that. And in the end, we'll talk about certain geographical indications. Okay, GI tags were given to certain items. So we have to talk about this as well. Okay, so these are the 3 news items that we shall zero in our attention on. So let's start discussing them one by one. Starting with topic number 1, and that is Western Ghats, ecologically sensitive areas. Now, Western Ghats are really important, environmentally speaking. Okay, Western Ghats are not just environmentally important, but they are also important from the perspective of biodiversity. It is a biodiversity hotspot of the world. Okay, it is really important to conserve the environmental heritage of Western Ghats because, well, the peninsular India's entire climate is dependent on it. Okay, now the thing is that because of certain developmental activities like mining, tourism, hydroelectric power projects, because of these developmental activities, well, a lot of Western Ghats related forest areas were getting threatened. Biodiversity was getting threatened. Therefore, a decade ago, it was decided to create some ecologically sensitive areas in Western Ghats. In those ecologically sensitive areas, well, these developmental activities, human activities would be completely prohibited. Okay. Now, the debate was which areas in Western Ghats should be declared ecologically sensitive areas. Now, government created 2 committees for that. One committee suggested that declare the entire Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive area. Now, that would have made it impossible for any developmental activity in that area. And the state governments which have Western Ghats, well, they opposed it tooth and nail. That is why it became a federal issue. Then the other committee suggested a more moderate approach. Still, there is this constant tussle between center and states. Center wants to create ecologically sensitive areas in these in Western Ghats, whereas states are opposing it because various economic activities are going on which are beneficial to the population of that state. The vote bank of that area is something that state governments depend on. That is why they are opposing it tooth and nail. Nobody wants to create an ecologically sensitive area in their particular state, especially when a lot of economic activities are happening in that state, which yield a lot of tax revenue for the state. Okay, so this tussle has been going on for the past 10 years. Now the central government has created another committee which is following more of a bottom-up approach, okay, more consultative approach, phase-wise implementation of ecologically sensitive areas. Okay, the thing is that we want to declare Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive areas, but we want to take states along with it. Okay, so that there is no tussle between center and states. So it has become a federal issue, but it is also an environmental issue. So why are Western Ghats important? What are the points that are being put forward by states? What are their arguments? And what is this new committee, okay, which is following a new approach altogether? We'll discuss all these things in this lecture. All right, so let's begin. So Western Ghats, ecologically sensitive area. Okay. Now, demarcation of Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive area entered a decisive phase after a decade-long dispute. Okay, decade-long deadlock. Now, when a particular area in Western Ghats is declared as ecologically sensitive area, okay, A lot of economic activities in that area are strictly prohibited, and in some regions, human interference is strictly prohibited. That is why there is this debate. Okay, human versus environment debate. Now, the government created Sanjay Kumar Committee, and the committee introduced a strategic shift. It follows a phased state-wise finalization of ESA boundaries. The boundaries of these ecologically sensitive areas, well, they would be decided state-wise. Once an agreement is reached with a particular state, then we will designate that area as ESA. So it will follow a phase-wise approach rather than a top-down blanket approach. Okay, take states along with your plan and then declare a particular area as ESA. So this is what Sanjay Kumar Committee has decided. And now people think that this is a significant breakthrough. Finally, we'll get to declare some areas in Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive areas. Now, Western Ghats pass through 6 states, okay? Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala. Clear? Now, it is really important. This area, this region is really important. It is a very biodiverse, rich area. Now, what are the environmental credentials of Western Ghats? Let's talk about that first, ecological foundations. So, it is a nearly continuous mountain chain stretching 1500 kilometers along India's western coast. We all know about the location of Western Ghats, okay? It covers an area of 164,280 square kilometers across 6 states, okay? Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, and also Tamil Nadu. Now, it is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Why? Because of its environmental credentials. And one of the world's 8 hottest hotspots. So there are in total 8 biodiversity hotspots in the entire world. Western Ghats is one such hotspot. That means it is extremely biodiversity rich. Okay, hosting over 30% of India's total flora and fauna, 30% of India's total animals and plants, alongside extreme level of endemism. You know what endemism is? Endemism means that that particular species is only found in Western Ghats, in that area. When we say a particular species is endemic to Western Ghats, that means it is only found in Western Ghats, nowhere else in the world. Okay, so there is high level of endemism. Plus, well, Western Ghats perform a lot of or significant ecological functions. How? First of all, the reason why the western coast of India receives too much monsoonal rainfall is because, well, Western Ghats act as water divide. When monsoon winds arrive on the west coast, they are, well, blocked by Western Ghats. So they are forced to drop their moisture in Mumbai, Kerala, Karnataka, this coastal belt. So this coastal belt receives its rainfall because Western Ghats act as a barrier. Okay, functions as a premier water divide by intercepting moisture-laden southwest monsoon winds. It triggers heavy orographic rainfall that feeds major peninsular river. So Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Periyar, they originate in Western Ghats and they receive their water from monsoon. And monsoon is able to drop so much water because Western Ghats act as a water divide, barrier, natural barrier. Okay, now, remember I told you that for the past 10 years, we have been trying to declare Western Ghats or some areas in Western Ghats as ecologically sensitive areas. Now, back in the day, during Congress rule, well, there were 2 committees that were created. Okay, the most controversial was Madhav Gadgil committee. Okay, it basically declared that the entire Western Ghats should be declared ESA, ecologically sensitive area. Every state disagreed with that. Therefore, another committee was formed called K. Kasturirangan panel, and that gave a moderate approach. Now, what is the comparison between the 2 committees? Okay, so we'll talk about them side by side. So Madhav Gadgil, as far as the coverage of ecological sensitive zone is concerned, Madhav Gadgil said entire Western Ghats should be declared ecologically sensitive area, and K. Kasturirangan said 37% of it should be declared, which areas which are heavily forested. Then classification strategy. Well, K. Kasturirangan said that divide the ecological sensitive areas into 1 ESZ 1, 2, 3. 1 would be heavily protected, 2, well, some human intervention is allowed, 3, some more human intervention is allowed. Whereas K. Kasturirangan said that, well, 40% of the protected area should be declared natural landscape, no intervention allowed. 60% should allow some human activity. So it was more moderate. Well, Madhav Gadgil supported bottom-up approach, under which even a Gram Sabha, okay, Gram Sabha of a village can veto any developmental project, dam, mine in their area. Any Gram Sabha can oppose it. Whereas K. Kasturi Rangan basically talked about a top-down approach, that Gram Sabhas shouldn't be given this power to stop any developmental project. Okay. Industrial stance recommended a complete ban on large dams, mining, and change in land use patterns, okay, from agriculture to commercial or industrial. It allowed some developmental activities, some industries also. Okay. Now, the Sanjay Kumar committee, the new committee, has given a moderate framework. Okay. So, under this new framework, some activities would be absolutely prohibited. For example, new mining, already existing mines would continue. New mining operations won't be allowed. New thermal power plants won't be allowed. Highly polluting red category industries. So there are three categories: orange, white, red. Red are highly polluting category industries. No new plants would be allowed, and no new townships or mega construction projects won't be allowed. The already existing ones shall continue. New ones won't be allowed. And what are the permitted activities? Existing healthcare, hospitals, domestic structures, orange and white category industries. So some industrialization is allowed. Okay. Hydroelectric power projects subject to environmental impact assessments. After conducting proper environmental impact assessments, hydropower projects should be allowed because there is a huge hydroelectric potential and the electricity generated from hydropower plants is renewable. Basically, it doesn't emit any greenhouse gases. So we should allow them. Madhav Gadgil did not. Okay, Kasturi Rangan did. Sanjay Kumar is also allowing it. Okay. Now, despite this moderate approach, still there are some states which are opposing this. Okay. Which are those states? Karnataka is opposing this. The largest share of Western Ghats lies in Karnataka, has consistently shown strongest resistance and completely rejected Kasturi Rangan report also, which was more moderate than Madhav Gadgil, arguing that blanket restrictions will lock out necessary rural infrastructure. State government wants to build roads, local employment opportunities. That would stop. So they are opposing it. Kerala is opposing it because Kerala is supported by plantation economy. Okay. It faces intense local pressure from cash crops, plantation economies, pepper, cardamom, coffee, all these. So that is happening. And Maharashtra. Okay. Maharashtra is also pointing out similar things, that local economies should be supported. Make sense? Now, this is the federal friction part. What is the way forward? Transition towards decentralized spatial mapping. States and centers should conduct satellite imagery so that only heavily forested areas should be declared ecologically sensitive zones. Institutionalizing financial compensation. If an area is declared ESZ, ecologically sensitive area, and that supported some economic benefit, then you are stopping that economic benefit by declaring it ecologically sensitive. So provide some compensation and allow ecotourism. Ecotourism, we all understand, okay? Nature-based tourism. This should be done. Clear? Make sense? All right. Now let's quickly shift our focus to next news item, which is species in news. So there were 3 species that were in news. Okay. Let's quickly cover them. All right. So species in news. Number 1, Himalayan pangolin. You see, earlier Himalayan pangolin was not considered a separate species. It was considered a part of, basically a subspecies under Chinese pangolin. But now, as per the latest study, Himalayan pangolin is considered different from Chinese pangolin, and it is considered a species itself, not a subspecies, complete species. This is how Himalayan pangolin looks. Okay, so it had been mistakenly lumped together as high altitude variant of Chinese pangolin. It was considered a variant of Chinese pangolin. Okay, not a different species, but not anymore. In fact, studies have been conducted which say that it evolved from Chinese pangolin. There was a common ancestor. Chinese pangolin evolved out of it. Himalayan pangolin evolved out of it 1.8 million years ago. Okay, it was driven by climatic fluctuation that isolated population in Himalayan foothills. So the Himalayan pangolin got separated to Himalayan region and Chinese to Chinese region. That's what happened. So this is how Himalayan pangolin looks, and some more details about Himalayan pangolin. So its geographical range. It is restricted strictly to southern Himalayan foothills with confirmed populations across Nepal, South Tibet, Northeast India, mainly Assam. Its IUCN status is critically endangered. That means this species can become extinct if conservation measures are not taken. Okay. Threat profile, most heavily trafficked mammal globally, because in some Eastern medicine cultures, its body parts are considered to have medicinal value. So it is smuggled, hunted and smuggled. That is why it is critically endangered. Clear? So this is Himalayan pangolin. Then the other species is a plant species called Kanskora agni. It was discovered in Maharashtra, Pune district of Maharashtra in Western Ghats. Researchers from IISER Pune discovered a minuscule new plant species named Kanskora agni on Sus Hill in Pune district. Now, why is it called agni? Because it survives, and not just survives, it thrives, it grows in fire, forest fire. That is why it's called agni. Okay, born out of agni. Kanskora agni, the fire-born microplant. So it is a herb that thrives during forest fires. So more forest fires are there, well, the more this plant grows and spreads out. It is a dwarf herb reaching a maximum height of only 10 centimeters. Okay, it was proposed as critically endangered due to its highly restricted area of occupancy, fragmented urban hill. It's critically endangered. Just remember this. Okay, so this plant is important and this feature is important. It thrives in forest fires. And the last species that we are going to discuss is Eurasian lynx. It looks like this, Himalayan cat. Okay. So a joint monitoring initiative by Sikkim Forest Department and World Wide Fund, India captured first ever photographic evidence of Eurasian lynx in Sikkim. Okay. So Eurasian lynx was not considered to be found in Himalayan region, but now it has been photographed. This marks only the second confirmed photographic record of the species. It was first photographed in Arunachal Pradesh very recently and now in Sikkim. It is a highly adapted medium-sized carnivore recognized by its distinctive triangular ear tufts and short bobbed tail. Confirmed presence on Trans-Himalayan, Tibetan region plateau highlights the crucial ecological health of India's high-altitude grasslands. That's about it. So these are the species that you need to be familiar with. Now let's quickly move on to third news item, and that is geographical indication sealings. Now recently, two objects were given GI tags and we use the term sealings. So remember this. When we say the word sealings in GI tag, that means the final application process is complete and now it will be awarded GI tag. Because if you need to give a particular object a GI tag, there is a long application process. So once that completes, then you say that it has been awarded the sealing. You understand the point now? Okay. Now two species were given, two basically things were given this GI tag. One was Hisar Kinnu. Okay, Sirsa Kinnu, I'm sorry. So Haryana, there is a place in Haryana called Sirsa. So it has a particular orange type Kinnu species. So that was given. And then another Himachali plant, fruit was given GI tag. Clear? Now we will talk about the importance of GI tag, why GI tag is given, and we'll talk about these two things that were given GI tag. Okay, very quickly, let's finish this. So GI tag sealings. Okay, so Geographical Indication Registry in Chennai executed high-profile sealings of registration certificates. So what is a sealing? In IPR jurisprudence, sealing is basically final formal legal step in registration process. Okay, now what is the GI tag architecture in India? How are GI tags awarded in India? Okay, let's talk about this. GI tags in India. Since India is a member of WTO, and WTO has an agreement called TRIPS, Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights Agreement. India is a member of that. Therefore, India also follows TRIPS agreement. And TRIPS agreement says that each country should have laws related to GI tags. Okay. Now in India, the law is Geographical Indications of Goods Registration and Protection Act, 1999. And this act was enforced in 2003. Okay. The nodal ministry for this and Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under Ministry of Commerce, and all GI tags, the official registry for GI tags is Office of Controller General of Patents, Designs, Trademarks. Well, this acts as GI tag registry. It is located in Chennai. Now, it is basically to register a GI tag, it is a 6-stage process. Okay. So application, scrutiny, journal publication, where you show that it deserves a GI tag. Then registration entry, final sealing and registration, and then, well, your registration expires in 10 years until you renew it. Okay, so this is the 6-stage process. Now, the two things. So this is the Haryana Sirsa Kinnu. Okay, high yield hybrid citrus fruit developed by king and willow leaf. Well, Sirsa's hot summers and cool winters allow this Kinnu species to develop. Then Spiti sea buckthorn, this minor fruit rich in vitamins. This was given GI tag. Well, this fruit grows in Spiti, an extremely cold climate. So this is the climate portion of both species. Basically, photos are also given in your notes and the details are also given here. And in this table, well, it talks about why. The second column talks about, this table is shared in your notes. Okay, so do take a look at this table from the notes. The second column basically talks about why this needed GI tag, why these two things needed GI tag. They needed protection because they were unprotected. And after giving it some protection, after giving it the protection of GI tag, what is the new benefit, new reality? What benefits would come out of this GI tag? Okay, so do take a look at this table also. Though in India, GI tags are not as protected, there are some challenges. So these challenges are also given in your notes. Do take a look at it from that as well. Clear? And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it will add more value if you revise this lecture from the notes. Please do not forget to do that. Because if you'll just watch this lecture, these current affairs would quickly skip your memory. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes are shared on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below, so do check it out. On that note, I shall take your leave with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.